Welcome back to the Village Hall from Page to Stage with myself, Mr. Matt Ogden, this man right here, Mr. Richard Sykes, and in between us, you can probably see if you are watching, or you can hear if you are listening, our very own Paige Fletcher. How are you, Paige?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Very excited. And we are, of course, not in Richard's house or any other location that we've previously filmed at. Where are we today, Mr. Richard?
Oh, we're at the Netherton Community Centre in Huddersfield. Where did you go this morning, Matt?
Yes. Unfortunately, I had a bit of brain fog this morning.
Did you?
And I got in my car and I was like, Netherton, yeah, I know exactly where Netherton is. It's near work. This is going to be dead easy to find. I unfortunately put Netherton Village Hall in rather than Netherton Community Centre. Really important to get that distinction right.
I think so.
Because I was halfway to Wakefield. And here we are, half an hour later than expected, filming the podcast. So sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
We're fine. We've been welcomed here by our fabulous host, Stephen, who's sitting behind the camera at the moment. Hello, good morning to you, Stephen. But nonetheless, Stephen has let us in here and has allowed us to use his space. And what a space it is. Paige and I have been looking around, and it looks...
I haven't yet.
No, you haven't seen it, but I can give you the tour. There's a wonderful set of fire escapes over there. Yeah. We've got our cupboard over there with the electricals in it.
A kosh cupboard. Ooh.
We've got the route through to the kitchen there.
Tea and coffee, ladies.
We've established that we're looking at all the village halls in the area, and they've all got roughly the same plan. This was custom built village hall, a community centre. Same thing, roughly.
Important to get that distinction.
Important to get that distinction, especially for sat-nav.
Yes.
But it was built with a much taller roof than it's got. It's got a ceiling that's a false ceiling that it actually goes twice as high.
Oh, right.
Because I think they were
it
thinking
did look
things
bigger
like
on the outside.
It does look
it's the opposite of the TARDIS.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yes, yeah. This one was created with things like badminton and that in mind, but because it was such a swine to heat, what they did was lower the ceiling so that they could heat it more efficiently, and that's what they've done. So here we are, badminton free, but with everything else intact.
I was going to say I can't see any court markings. So.
No. I mean, thinking about the way the storyline pans out, we've been looking at what goes on here, and we've missed a few tricks.
Oh, what have we missed?
They do dog training.
Dog training?
Dog training.
Oh, so you could have had that as one of
the
the classes.
We could have had one of the classes.
Never worked with kids or animals, though,
No,
right?
exactly.
So.
I've learnt that from podcasting. I'm not sure which Matt is, but it's close.
Dogs actually have to have their own dressing room.
Oh, do
and
they?
everything.
Really?
Yeah. There's rules around it.
When we did Legally Blonde, that was the case. Yeah, she had the little one, didn't she?
Yeah.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah.
So we better welcome our wonderful guest, our gorgeous Paige.
We should indeed.
Hiya, love.
Yeah, right.
Can you tell us about the character you've got in the village hall? Who is she?
Yes, so I am playing Helen, and she is one of the co-leads. Is that right?
That's
You
correct.
can call it that.
And she's a lovely little character. I don't really know what to say about her.
Well, I think Helen is the joy of the piece. I think, and it's one of the reasons you stood out so much at the audition was the fact that everything was sunshine, which is exactly what Helen
Just
should
naturally Paige.
Well, yes, kind of, but nonetheless.
Embarrassing me already.
But she didn't need to act the part at all. In fact, one of the benefits was that Paige was just playing herself effectively through this.
And we covered that on episode 1, didn't we?
Yeah.
We kind of talked about the approach that you took in the audition, and that being a bit of a left field decision for the audition panel, because obviously the way that the characters were written, it didn't define their ages, and you went into it with this kind of, I'm a younger Helen, therefore there might be a bit more weight to my Molly potentially being younger too when she's passed away.
Absolutely. And I'm still so unbelievably shocked to have been given the part. Like, it does not seem real. But I actually had no intention of going for Helen.
Oh.
I hadn't even considered her as a part, because like you said in the first podcast, I'd seen her as much older. And especially from the table read that we did.
Yeah.
That was my interpretation. I was going to go for one of the ensemble parts. It was Freya or Di for me.
Yes.
And I kept reading Di's audition stuff, and just wasn't sitting right with me. I couldn't.
Really?
I really struggled with it. So I learnt all the company stuff and thought, right, I'm going to go in with that. And then this was on the Thursdays, the auditions were on the Sunday. Something drew me to Helen.
Good.
And I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to have a little look.
That late on as well,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Oh, God.
Literally, on the drive here,
You're telling me.
on the drive here, I've been listening to We Will Rock You, because obviously, as we know, the auditions for the next show after this one, that's happened yesterday and then next week.
Yeah.
And I would hate to suddenly change my mind and start learning a new part now.
Well, I
That would scare me.
listened to the song and I thought, oh, this is a bit of me, this. I quite like this.
Yeah.
And then I read the dialogue and it just felt so natural. And I felt like I didn't have to think too much about how I was going to say things, where I was going to stand, how I was going to interact with the other characters. And I was emailing Antonia back and forth on the Thursday, and I was like, are there any age restrictions on any of these characters? She went, no, we're just, we want a blank slate, want to see who we get.
Yeah. And
I thought, do you know what, sod it. What's the worst that can happen? It would be lovely to play the part, but it would also just be lovely to be in the show. And then by some miracle, I got it.
So it didn't affect your audition timing or anything. You just said, by the way, I'm not actually going to go for this part. I'm going to go for the lead.
Yeah. I just worked really hard. Thankfully, I had a couple of days off work, so I just worked really hard Thursday through to Sunday and just
smashed
it down. Yeah.
Well, from the viewpoint of someone who was at the auditions, I didn't have a casting vote or anything, but I was able to sort of have an input, because myself and Maria obviously knew the characters, or knew what we wanted for the characters. Yeah. I mean, you remember we talked a lot about having to audition in pairs, and the casting of Francis and Helen was hugely important, that they worked together. And one of the things we established was, if you're not acquainted with Paige's voice, it is a thing of utter beauty. It's all right, close your ears, love, close your ears. But it's an incredible thing to have in your armoury. And because Paige is such an extraordinary vocalist, we had to choose a Francis who was another extraordinary vocalist. So it made the casting a lot easier, and certainly the choices a lot easier once we got Paige in place. Suddenly everything else started to work. So yeah, it was a literal no-brainer. We just said, yep, absolutely, no problem at all.
And that's completely insane to me. The fact that I was the linchpin for so many people, blows my mind.
Well, I think that's often how casting works. Yeah. And a lot of casting, unbeknownst to the casting people, will work in pairs. Who is going to work opposite this person? Yeah. And we cannot wait to see the light and shade that you and Becky bring. Becky is playing Frances, and she's got a much lower set voice, and that, I think, is going to work for an awful lot of the songs. Some of the songs have been rewritten in order to capitalise on the vocal talents we've got.
Yes, they have.
Yes, they have. Do you remember that? I mean, I sat down with you, didn't I? I brought you to my place and took you downstairs.
You did.
Oh my God. It's the first time he's ever done that with a woman.
She did survive. But tell us about it. Do you remember much about the day?
Oh gosh, it was an absolute whirlwind. I was still very much in that, oh my God, have they got the right person? But yeah, went to Richard's house and we just sat and went through all of the bits that I sing, really. Just making sure that they all sit in a nice part of my vocal range. I think we kept a couple the same as that you changed them slightly for the audition, hadn't you? Yeah. So we kept a couple the same as the audition, and then we got to the finale.
And we cried.
And no spoilers whatsoever.
we did. There was myself, Richard, and Maria in the room, and I was trying to sing, and I could feel myself welling up. Yeah. Just every time I listened to that song, even when I was sort of arranging it for the audition, I was like, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sing this. So finished the song, looked round, and it was just Richard and Maria blubbing. Oh, yes. I can't do this.
They do that, to be fair. Yeah.
We do cry a lot. I think that's fair. It means we're emotionally invested.
He couldn't cry during By George because he was too busy.
Yeah, he was too busy in it.
But Maria was just a ball of water at one point. So that's a really interesting point then, because obviously you weren't in the cast for By George. So this, as far as I know, is your first time in a world premiere of a musical.
It is.
And what's your kind of feeling on that in terms of being able to sit down with the writer and go, ooh, this song doesn't quite sit right for me. Is there any chance we can lower it or put it up a little bit? How was that as an experience?
Incredible. but so odd at the same time. I've been doing this a very long time, and I'm so used to changing my voice to fit what has already been written, but to be able to have the opportunity to work with Richard, and Richard and I, have got a really good relationship, so I feel comfortable enough saying that's not quite right. I need to change it. And it's just been amazing. It's just amazing to work with you both.
Hey,
Yeah,
well,
that's
we appreciate the fact that we've got someone with the vocal pipes that can take. I mean, your range is extraordinary, Paige. So it wasn't a question of finding the notes to fit Paige's range.
Yeah.
It was where things sat beautifully. One of the regrets I've got, especially after, we're coming to the end now of the solely music rehearsals. We're pretty much through them.
Oh, wow, that's quick.
Yeah, very quick. I mean, we've done an awful lot of the chorus stuff. There's still a few bits we haven't heard. The solo stuff will come eventually. But for the moment, we've concentrated on getting as much done as possible. And one of the great things about it is that it has sort of fallen into Paige's range, but being able to tweak it so to find her sweet spot is superb. We had a rehearsal this last week. Yeah. Where I heard for the first time what Paige is actually going to be doing to that song. It's a song called Winter Sun, and it's very personal to me. Yeah. But the little intonations are now coming out in what she's doing to it, and they're the things that make me and Maria just melt, absolutely melt. To hear your stuff being interpreted beautifully is quite something. I never grow tired of it. It's incredible.
And being able to perform that is so special as well.
Yeah.
To two people who I, put on a very high pedestal. I have a lot of time and respect for both of them. And I think they're both incredibly talented. And I hate them both for it, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it's just like everyone else, to be fair.
But to be trusted enough to perform their work, everything they've put, the hard work they've put in over the last couple of years, is so special. I can't even express it.
It's entirely the converse for me and Maria. I mean, we've spent an awful long time on this project, just a couple of years, but we've drawn elements from our lives, and the Winter Sun song was actually written the day after my father passed away.
Oh, God.
It's the reason it's about.
Here comes the day, colors soft in silence as the darkness ebbs away. I beg you stay and pray you shine. Wait a little longer and we'll stop the hands of time. Forever mine. A day goes by, you rise, and I hear the breath of morning as you cross the skies, guiding me and warming with a kiss. You die, and the light you gave is gone. It's lost with the winter sun. And there you are, lighting up my lifetime. Heaven took you from my world, but there you were. A day goes by, you rise, and I feel the breath of morning as you cross the skies, guiding me and warming with a kiss. You die, and the light you gave is gone. It's lost with the winter sun. 'Cause our time was so short, all the brighter you shone, and I'm lost with the winter sun.
The reason it's about Winter Sun is because it's a light that shines but too short, and hence the lyrics of the song. So if that doesn't make you tear up, I've done something wrong, because it's an incredibly emotional song for me. We'll be doing a podcast later about the evolution of the song and how it started and why it was written. There is a pandemic element to it, which there is to an awful lot of the musical. You know, finding community, and where there was an element that tore community apart. So there are an awful lot of themes in here that aren't necessarily at the forefront of the storyline, but they're there for Mia Maria. And when they hit a note like Paige does, suddenly it can melt you. Absolutely melt you. So I look forward to crying an awful lot, specifically at Paige's performance.
And now I've heard this story. You know I've got to sing that song.
I know you've
on
got to sing that
stage.
song. You've got to be
It's
aware.
going to be there every night.
That's the thing though, right? Is that like you kind of just hit the nail on the head there. I think that is, even though everything that you've put into that song, the context behind it, the background, the inspiration, if you like, and let's use that word because that's a positive way of spinning it. That's something that, you know, to the audience, like you say, it's very personal to you and Maria. You'll feel that a lot more than the audience will, and maybe they won't understand the subtext there. But once it's in your hands and you've got that ability to kind of deliver it through your performance, it's almost your way of interpreting how Richard felt when he wrote that song is able to come out through your performance. And hopefully what that means is that audience, without that background information, without understanding where that song comes from, they still get a sense and a feel for the emotional depth and the weight that carries.
Definitely.
And that's probably going to help you in... I know that obviously it's upsetting to hear all of that, but it's probably something that's going to help you feel, you know what, I can do this. I can carry the weight of that song because 100%. Now I understand it from a personal perspective.
The other thing is, the song in this context, it's not about anything like that. Yeah. There's a way of interpreting Winter Sun to be just about the light in the room. It could be anything.
Yeah, I was going to say that's how I interpret it. So I interpret it as Molly being the light in the dark.
That's it.
In the really dark times, she is always there.
And
even... Am I allowed to say?
Yes.
In her death, she's still, you know, she's still there. She's still shining that light.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the connotation they have for me. But even for the audition, like I got the reaction that I wanted.
The reaction?
Why, everyone bawling and
You really did.
So I'm not a crier, to be honest, and it's very rare that a piece of music will move me to tears, or give me goosebumps or anything like that. And actually, everything you write gives me goosebumps.
You did that this morning.
Weird,
Anyway,
most of what you write just makes me laugh, to be honest.
But as soon as I heard that song, I got goosebumps and I welled up. And every time I tried to sing it, I got towards the end and had a lump in my... Even speaking about it, I've got a lump in my throat. And the one thing I said to my partner was, if I go in that room and get the reaction that I want, even if I don't get the part, I'll feel so proud because I'll know that I've delivered it in the way it was intended. And in the audition, I was so in the moment of singing and sort of reacting that I had no idea that every single person in that room was crying. But there
were a lot of people in that room as well. Because it's a co-production, we had the people from the theatre, we had Becky and Liv, and then we had our panel for Woodhouse, which is 2 people this time. We had the MD, we had the director, and you had 2 writers, all on this panel facing the people doing the auditions. It was grossly unfair, but entirely necessary. And
it was a lot.
It is an awful lot to throw at people.
It's a big audience to make cry.
Yes, absolutely. And I 100% got the reaction that I hoped for.
Yes.
I actually really enjoyed the audition, I have to say.
I love auditioning because basically I've got a captive audience that I can make cry or make laugh or try to do that over the course of 5 minutes. That's what I've got. And so I actually embrace auditions. I really like them. Nearly everybody else I've spoken to utterly hates them. They don't like putting themselves out there in that way.
I'm a weird one. I'm sort of ambivalent. Like, I'll enjoy it if it's something I really want to do.
Yeah.
Like the first time I auditioned for School of Rock, I was like, if I'm not getting this part, I'm going to put everything into it, which it sounds like is what you took as the approach. And there and then on the spot, I was told, okay, you've got that part. And I was like, that's an incredible feeling. But I think this is a good opportunity to segue into your background a little bit because I'm kind of curious. Obviously, we've known each other since 2016 when we did Rent, so 10 years basically now. And I've not seen you play a lead yet, and I'm so excited to see that. And I don't know why I haven't actually, because I'm pretty sure you've done a few now, haven't you?
Yeah, so I've been performing since I was 2. So started off, my mum was a dance teacher, so did the typical thing when could start to walk. I was sort of going into all the dance classes, and I danced every style you could think of, right the way up until about 11, 12. I also was in a marching band, which is really cringy.
No, it's not.
It's really cringy. But that's where my love for music started.
Yeah.
I was in school choirs and things like that. And about 13, 14, decided that I fancied having to go on stage. So joined a stage school, and from then on in, I've done maybe 2 or 3 shows per year for the last 16 years. And don't get me wrong, I've auditioned for every show I've ever been in, and yeah, Woodhouse have given me my opportunity to play a lead, which is mental. But yeah, that's kind of my background. I've been doing this my entire life. It's all I know, really.
But also, I mean, experience is one thing, but I've been backstage with Paige before a show, and there are nerves there.
Oh yeah, you are a jitterbug, aren't
I
you?
am, yeah. I have a tendency to overthink everything I do, which is why I struggle with auditions so much. Because I have to plan how I'm going to stage it and how I'm going to sort of sing the song and that kind of stuff. I really, really overthink it and think, oh my God, the panel are going to think this is ridiculous and it looks stupid. But with Really Tall, I didn't do that for the first time ever, which was odd. I just went in and thought...
We only had 2 days to prepare.
I didn't have time to overthink. But yeah, Woodhouse gave me my first opportunity with Boogie Nights, which was so cool. And I had the best time doing that. It was a great cast. Yeah, and now they're giving me another opportunity with Village Hall, which is...
Village Hall is a bizarre show in that we with By George, we had a lead, a commanding lead.
We had our Pauline.
We had our Pauline who just carried everything. And it was a strain. It was a real mental and physical strain on Nikki to do it. With this one, I think that it's a little more, and consciously so, a little more balanced.
Yes.
So when Paige says she's co-lead, absolutely right. There are about 3 people who you could say are co-leads in this. So I think it's a tremendous way to start, taking leads in shows. I think it's fantastic because you were. Your role in Boogie Nights was really comedic, and it was brilliant relief as well. But I don't think it was the lead. I think the lead
wasn't.
Sorry, I meant to say principal before. I said leads. I meant principal.
Yes.
So in terms of your background, like you said, you started out at school when you were kind of 13, 14. Yeah. So talk us through, I know you were on, shout out to our friends, Chris and Todd at Stage Struck. I know you were on their podcast before, and that was a little bit more about you as a person and your history. So we won't go into all of the same things. But what's kind of led you towards going for more leads? What shows have you done where you've kind of been a part of the ensemble, or you've been a principal, but you've not quite played that lead part?
I don't really know. I always audition with the intention of just getting a little bit of singing, because I like singing. That's
showing off that voice.
I do. That's the thing I do, and I know that if I don't audition, I'll kick myself later. Yeah. So I have to just push myself, and sometimes I'm not right for the role. But my theory is, if I can go in there and show them what I can do with material that shows off my voice and my ability, then that's good enough for me. And then I'll leave it in their hands to decide where they want to put me. But yeah, I've had a few supporting roles. So I've played Enid Hoops in Legally Blonde.
She was incredible in that as well.
Stop it. I played Sister Mary Patrick in Sister Act. Yeah. I've done all sorts of little supporting roles. And I just love it. I don't really know how to explain it. I just really enjoy it.
A nice thing about Boogie Nights was that it was a Woodhouse company production. You could really feel there was a warmth there. Which, I've been with other societies. You do get a warmth, but with Woodhouse...
It's different.
It is just different. And I can't put my finger on why. I just genuinely love, working with Woodhouse. It's great.
They're a great society.
And we've got a show coming up. It is called the Village Hall. We can show you these posters. Finally, they're here.
I'm just going to pretend I'm holding one.
Do you want to hold a small
I'll hold one.
In
I'll
that
hold
case,
one.
there we go.
Jealous of my
For
big
those who
poster,
aren't
Matt.
watching, it didn't make any sense.
You'll find these posters going up throughout the community, folks. We're going to be advertising strongly all over Huddersfield. And on the back of these things, you've got a booking form as well. And you can see the a very original seating layout for our Village Hall at the back there. Don't be afraid to book. If you do want to book tickets, then you can do it via this QR code, which is covering Paige at this moment. And you'll see links. We'll also post a link to Paige's interview on Stage Struck, which is another podcast, which is over in Halifax. And we've got links to previous musicals. You can do that on my YouTube channel. You can also log on to www.richsykes.com, and that will get you all the details on the Village Hall.
You can indeed. And if you want to follow us on the old Instagram, it's at the Village Hall Musical.
It is.
So, everything we have covered today, Paige,
Yeah.
well, I'm sure we'll speak to you again soon because we need to obviously catch up with your other co-lead, Becky.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
So excited.
I hope you've been enjoying the rehearsal process so far.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing to do this first ever Village Hall or Community Centre, as we should call it.
Yes.
Netherton Community Centre. Important you get the right one.
Absolutely.
It's been incredible to do our first podcast inside one of these centres. So thank you very much for being our special guest.
Thank you for having me. It's been
Well, we
lovely.
love you, Paige. Thank you again.
Thank you so
Right,
much.
until next time, Mr. Richard Sykes, I will see you soon. And goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching The Village Hall from Page to Stage. Bye-bye.